Good evening, and welcome to Inspire and Uplift Radio Show with LaShonda Millsap. I hope that you have had a wonderful Wednesday. I have had a blessed day, and I have been looking forward to the show today because I have two phenomenal guests on this evening from E. Smith High School, and they are protecting and serving in our communities. One is working in Washington, D.C., and the other is in Greenville, North Carolina. My two guests are, the first one will be Wanda Chevrolet, and she was born in Puerto Rico, and she was raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And she attended Spring Lake Junior High and E. Smith High School, which is the best high school in the world. And she also attended North Carolina A&T State University. And then after that, she went on to join the Armed Forces for 7 years. So that's just a little about Wanda. But my other guest is Richard Williams. He is a officer with Greenville Police Department, and he has been with the police force for over 17 years. So the first guest, going back to Wanda, is just a phenomenal woman. She is currently an employee and works with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. She has been with them for over 10 years now. She's just a phenomenal person, and she has overcome so many obstacles in her life, and she truly has a testimony as to what God can do in your life. And the purpose of this show is to inspire and uplift others to go after their dreams and aspirations in spite of obstacles and things that may sometimes come into your path to prevent you from getting where God wants you to be. But you have to keep on pushing. So, as I just introduced Wanda, I also wanted to let you know that Wanda is also a survivor of domestic violence. And that is something that is very, very close to my heart. I am a survivor myself, and it is just something that can be traumatic to go through. It definitely is. And she has come through it. And if there is anybody out there dealing with that right now, know that you can come out of that situation and you can survive and excel and be a testimony to others. Now, I want to share some statistics with you. On an average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. The number of troops in Afghanistan between 2001 and 2012 that were killed were 6,488, and the number of American women that were murdered by their spouses or ex-partners was 11,768 women that lost their lives. So that statistic is staggering, and it is just something that is near and dear to my heart. I have had a relative that has that lost their lives to domestic violence. And right now I would like to have a moment of silence for those women that have lost their lives or currently dealing with domestic violence. So let's take 5 or 10 seconds of silence for them, please. Okay, we're back. Wanda, are you there?
I am here.
How are you?
I am doing excellent. Thank you for having me on your show. And first of all, I would just like to commend you for having such an excellent show, and thank God that he's using you the way he is using you to touch so many lives. I am so proud of you for just being my sister and my classmate. I commend you for for speaking out for all the women of domestic violence. It's really hard. First of all, it's something that's hard to go through. It's hard to speak up, because it's just a really difficult thing to speak about. It's so to have the courage to speak up and to reach out to other women, it's a really difficult thing to do. So I thank you for bringing awareness to the topic. And I'd also like to say hi to Richard, my other fellow Golden Bull, my brother in arms. It's a difficult job that we do. It's often not praised enough to, beat these streets every day. A lot of people don't like to, talk to the po-po, but it's, really hard to get out here and talk to the people and gain their trust and their confidence. So I'd like to commend him for all of the work he's done for 17 years, and thank you for having us on your show.
That's right. Thank you, Wanda. Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. And I just have a lot of admiration for both of you all and what you are doing. And Wanda, let's go back to you. Can you tell me a little about yourself? What year did you graduate from E. Smith High School?
The best class of 1990.
Okay.
Okay. And you earned your Bachelor's of Science degree in what?
In Human Services.
Okay. And that was from Upper Iowa University?
That's right. I left A&T after my first year. I think I cheered my first year, so I think I had a little bit too much cheering and not enough studying, so I ended up dropping out and joining the Army. But I got myself back on track, and I picked up college classes, and I ended up finishing my bachelor's degree while I was on active duty in the Army.
Okay. And you have two daughters, or how many daughters do you have?
Yes, I have two daughters. Raven will be 25 this year. She graduated from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore last year. She got her bachelor's in criminal justice, so she says she wants to follow in my footsteps and maybe go into law enforcement. And Alexis will be 22, and she'll be graduating from the University of Maryland with her degree in dental hygiene.
Oh, okay. Wow, they are on the ball. They are following in their mom's footsteps, right?
Yeah, they have to, I encourage them to be strong, independent women, so. Yes.
Okay. And so education most definitely is important. And also you seem to be a strong believer in God. And I know God has helped you to come through all the different situations that you have been through, from going to college to going to the Army and then getting your bachelor's degree. Now, were you attending college while you had your kids? Were they young, or did you have your kids whenever you were pursuing your bachelor's degree?
Let me tell you, I like to tell everyone from the very first day I walked on a college campus my freshman year to the day I received my bachelor's degree, I had a marriage and 2 kids. So It took me 6 years to get a 4-year degree, but I did it. So I tell everyone, do not let anything stop you from pursuing your education. A lot of times I hear people say, they got pregnant, or, they got married, or they dropped out. It doesn't matter. Keep going, keep pushing. Do not let anything stop you. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Your mother passed away, your father passed away, somebody left you, somebody died. Keep pushing. I have been through a lot of circumstances, a lot of, setbacks, but God will get you through everything and anything as long as you have faith, you pray, you keep pushing, as long as he wakes you up in the morning, as long as there is breath in your body, you keep pushing and you keep pushing. And I know that both of you guys have been through many challenges, and you guys are still here, and you're still, pushing, and you're still believing, and you're still succeeding. And that anybody can do it.
Yes, most definitely. With God, all things are possible.
That's
Sometimes
right.
we put limits on ourselves, but then you just got to sit down and sometimes just meditate and allow God to minister to your soul and talk to you, and you ask God to lead and guide you into a profession in which you can help people. And that is one of the things that I did. That's how I got into social work. And so sometimes the doors will just kind of fly wide open, whenever you are, you're on the right path. And sometimes you may run into some obstacles. So let's go on to the FBI. When did you start with the FBI?
I started in September of 2008. I moved here from Texas. I just packed up. I packed up the kids, and I went through a divorce, my first divorce, and I share all of this with people because I have been through a lot, and I don't say this to say woe is me. I say this to be encouraging because I have had 2 failed marriages, and I say it like that because look at me, I'm still here. I work for the Bureau. But I have 2 girls that are going to be college graduates. One already graduated. One graduates next year. And I'm not saying it to be boastful. I'm saying it to say this is a testimony. 2 failed marriages. I packed the girls up and moved halfway across the United States. Why? Because I was divorced, and I said, I don't want to live in Killeen, Texas the rest of my life. And I started applying for jobs anywhere on the East Coast. I wanted to go to Fort Bragg to get back to Fayetteville, but Fort Bragg wasn't calling. Fort Bragg wasn't calling. Fort Bragg wasn't calling. Washington, D.C. called. I packed them up. They didn't want to leave Texas, but I said, you know what? Let's go. We got to go somewhere. We got to leave. Texas wasn't bad, but I didn't want to be there. And we packed up and we, moved to Washington, D.C. And I'm saying that because sometimes in order to move up, you have to be willing to relocate. You might not want to leave Fayetteville, North Carolina, but if you're complaining that you're not getting paid enough money, your job is kind of dead end, you might have to leave Fayetteville for a little bit and move somewhere else for that higher paying job or that better job. You can always come back home, but move, don't be afraid. Step out of the box, step out of the boat. And try something new. God will order your steps, and don't be afraid to follow what God is pushing you to do.
Yes, amen. And so you were working there at the Bureau, and you met your husband, your second husband, right?
Well, I actually met him in Texas, but we went our separate ways. Yeah, and that he ended up being the abusive husband. And I should have known back then when God sent him to Georgia and I went to Washington, D.C., that's why he sent us in 2 different directions. But that's neither here or there. And we ended up getting married. He said all the right things. You know how it is. They say all the things you want to hear. And as soon as everything was perfect, as soon as we said I do, it was like everything changed. It was like he told me what to wear, what I couldn't wear, where I could go, who I couldn't see. He kept me away from my friends. As you guys remember, Renee, LaHuffman, and Martina Hendon live up here with me. He kept me from seeing them. He wouldn't allow me to see them. When I did see them, I was covered up, hiding my bruises from them. They started to catch on. They would say, it's July. Why do you have on long sleeves? Why do you have on turtlenecks? And slowly but surely, they started noticing my bruises and my cuts and my black eyes. And everything started to unravel, and I still kept trying to save my marriage because, I wanted to save my marriage because we were going to church every Sunday, and I prayed, and I wanted to be that Proverbs 31 wife. I just wanted to keep my marriage and my family together. But, God doesn't call you to be a fool either. He doesn't want you to be a doormat or a punching bag. And I sought a lot of help and counseling from the women in my church, and it just got to the point where enough was enough. And I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. Later on, women would tell me, you work for the Bureau. It was it's also assumed you have weapons, you have this, you have that. Why didn't you bust them upside his head? At the same time, you want to keep your job. Right is right or wrong is wrong. But you're ashamed. And then I didn't want to be divorced twice either. But then I also went public with it because I said I'm not ashamed. I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm going to help. When I first went public with it, I can't tell you how many IMs I got. How did you get the courage to leave? How did you do it? I don't make enough money to leave. I want to leave, but I don't. My heart broke for some of the stories. Like, I'm getting teary-eyed right now because women wanted to know how. I want to leave, but I don't have enough money. I want to leave, but I don't work. He's the only one that works. I want to leave, but I have kids with my husband. Your kids aren't with that man. I can't tell you how many people reached out to me when I went public on Facebook. But then I also had people IMing me saying, you shouldn't put your business on Facebook. It was like people were coming at me in all directions. So I prayed about it. But I also felt that God was telling me, you did the right thing. You're helping other women. And even if I helped one woman get out of her situation, it was worth it to me.
Absolutely. And that's what I want to say also. I know in my experience of being in abusive relationships, sometimes you feel so ashamed and you don't want people to know about what you're going through and you don't want people in your business. But sometimes you just have to put it out there and, it helps somebody. If I am saving one life right now by telling your story, that is what it all is about, And a part of the thing is once you share your situation with somebody, it seems like God will allow your support system to come in place and support you. And I thank God for wonderful support systems that were placed upon my path. There are people also that told me what they had gone through, that they had experienced domestic violence. There's so many women out there that have experienced domestic violence, and they stay silent. But this is not the day or the hour to do that. Right now, we want you to have a voice and to reach out and to get some help and create a plan in which you can either escape that situation, because you just might be saving your life. It doesn't start off where they murder you. In the beginning, what happens is they are intimidating you. They are making, threats. They're in your face. They're blocking doors and things of that nature, and they're getting in your head. It's that psychological. Then there's a push. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes there's a push, and then it kind of snowballs from there. And then there are the apologies. I'll never do it again, but it continues to happen, and you have to find a way to get out. And I thank God that I was able to get out and be a witness to others that God is able to pull you out of some really dangerous situations. And it makes me emotional now just, thinking about some of the things that I have experienced. But God is so good, and I thank him for his protective angels. So what was did you all of a sudden one day decide, okay, I'm just going to leave, or how did it unfold for you?
Yes. Well, I had endured many, and I'm going to call it what they were, beatings. I had endured many beatings. Some were worse than others, but there were two that were severe to the point where I never called 911 because where we were, basically, we are the police, So two of them, I had to call 911 because I thought that I was going to die. I really did. So on those two occasions, the first occasion I called, and it was such a fiasco with, the PG County, Prince George's County showing up. And then when they find out that we both, because he also worked for the Bureau, it's a lot to, they have to make sure there's no weapons in the house, and it's just a big to-do. And then the next day at work and paperwork and this and that. Well, the second time, I swore I'd never call again because it was such a distraction at our workplace. But the second time was so bad that was it, I knew then that was going to be it. He was arrested for the second time. After that, it was out of my hands. The Bureau, of course, fired him. His top secret clearance was revoked. The Bureau fired him, and that's when I said that was it. And to be honest, and like I said, I was ashamed to even tell this story, and I know there's many people listening, and when I say this, they're probably going to be like, how in the world did you do this? But this is when I knew that if I don't leave, and I'm not saying this to make anyone laugh or whatever, I said, if I don't leave right now, I am going to end up on the next episode of Snapped. Like, I was going to kill him myself. He spit in my face. And when he spit in my face, he had never spit in my face before. That's when I knew, if someone spitting in your face is so much worse than punching, kicking, slapping. That's like the ultimate. If no one's ever spit in your face, you do not know how that feels until it happens to you. I knew that if I don't walk away now, I could see myself literally burning him in the bed while he was asleep, and I would be in an orange jumpsuit the rest of my life, and I didn't want my girls to see me like that forever. So I knew something had to give, and that's when I decided I'm walking away, and that was that. And that's how it ended.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That took a lot of courage, and I know along with the physical abuse there was psychological and emotional abuse. And sometimes for me, I say that right there, I would have rather been punched, I think, 1,000 times than to go day after day not knowing what I was going home or coming home to. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't always necessarily have to be a punch, but if somebody is intimidating you and making you fearful of your life, and it's just you're being terrorized and stalked and things of that nature, you don't deserve that. That is their issue. So you have to find a way to get out.
And I'll tell you this, when that happened, I stood there motionless. I didn't lift a finger. I didn't move. I just stood there in shock. And when I left, I literally left with one suitcase, the clothes on my back and one suitcase, and that was it. I came back the next day and got the rest of my clothes, and that's it. You have to think that was a 4-bedroom, huge house that we built from the ground up. I didn't want anything. Not one piece of furniture. When you've been treated like that and treated so like your dignity has been sucked out, and I didn't want anything. Nothing. I literally rented an apartment, and I put a mattress on the floor. And do you know how happy I was? I was at such peace that you would have thought that I hit the jackpot with a mattress on the floor. I was so happy and so content that my God had given me my peace and I didn't want anything. When the divorce lawyer asked me what I wanted, I had everything I wanted. God had given me the peace and happiness that I wanted.
Yes.
And I didn't, that's all, you know. And and that's what I want for anyone that's out there listening. Your peace is I can't even think of another word. You don't want anything. Not a sofa, not a table, not a glass, not a fork. Your peace is what you want. And I can't stress that enough.
Yes, yes. And so let me ask you one other thing, because we're going to have to end up wrapping up. But can you tell me or share with the listening audience some of the successful strategies that you use whenever, like, how do you wake up? Do you wake up in prayer? When you wake up during the day, do you pray, or you listen to inspirational music? What are some rituals that you go through daily to help you cope and deal with things and get through your day?
Okay, that's easy because I have a routine. So every single morning I read my Bible. So I have a daily. I read Jesus Calling, which is a daily devotional. So everyone I think knows what Jesus Calling is. So they have it's a daily devotional, and then they have the scriptures in there. So I read whatever scriptures are listed in there. I read whatever I decide, to flip to for the day in my Bible. I just pray. I call out whoever's on my mind, or on my prayer list for the morning. I have an hour and a half commute because I moved all the way to Baltimore to get as far as I could from him. I used to have a 10-minute commute. Now I have an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute commute because of the traffic. Everyone knows it's only about a 35 miles between Baltimore and D.C., but it takes about an hour and a half. So I listen to my music in the morning, or I talk to my BFF, Renee, because she has the same commute. So we talk, When I get to work, I have a best friend that works with me. She also sends out scriptures every single morning, Monday through Friday. So you should get a best friend or a coworker where you can alternate sending scriptures to each other every single morning. You should do that before you read your messages at work. Before you do anything at work, always pray over your workstation, just to get your work, your day started. And then same thing in the evening. Talk to your friends or your coworkers, or listen to praise and worship. You always have to just give God all the praise and the glory, because He is the one that's going to always see you through everything, get you, put you in the right mood. And my favorite scripture, I say it's my favorite scripture, and I don't even know it word for word, but the most important part of it, in everything give thanks. My pastor always likes to say, the scripture says, in everything give thanks, not some things, not the things you feel like, in everything. So when the things don't go my way, or, I don't like this, or this didn't happen, I give thanks, no matter what, in everything. And I always think back to, like I said, my pastor says, not the things you feel like giving thanks, not sometimes, not, in everything, whether you like it or not, in everything give thanks. And that is what gets me through everything.
Okay. Well, now we're going to have to wrap up, but quickly, can you let everyone know what your social handles are as far as with Instagram, if you have an email address that you're comfortable with giving, or how to find you on Facebook?
Okay, well, I'm a boring person. I only have Facebook.
And it's under your name.
Yes, just under my name, Wanda Yvette Chevede. And I do have an Instagram. Kind of boring. Do I have to give that up?
No, you
really
don't. No, what you're
and it's private, so okay.
Yes,
so just
absolutely.
my Facebook, my Facebook, and really for the women out there that want to talk about like their domestic violence issues and how to, like if they want some resources or whatever, I really would like them to contact me because I would love to talk to them. If they want to send me a instant messenger message, I would love to talk to them privately. And for anyone who's interested in the Bureau and FBI, also, I can give them information on that. They're always hiring. They're always looking for new recruits, so I'll give them information on that too, men and women.
Okay. Well, thank you. We love you so very much. And I am so very proud of you, and God bless you. And we're going to go to break right now, and then after break, we will be talking to Officer Richard Williams. Let's take
All
a break.
Right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Hello? You don't have to leave there. I could be here to come in.
I'm going to stay on for you.
Lord, I want more of you in everything I am, in everything I do. I want more of you. Lord, I want more of you. Less and less and less of me, and more of you.
And welcome back to Inspire and Uplift Radio with LaShonda Millsap. Our next guest is Officer Richard Williams. He has been employed with Greenville Police Department for over 17 years. During his time there, he has served as a patrol officer, major crimes detective, police athletic league officer, DARE officer, and school resource officer. He currently is heading up the department's newly formed Cops and Barbers Community Outreach Program, which focuses on building a bridge between the police and the African American community. Mr. Richard Williams is a graduate of the University of Mount Olive, where he earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He is a member of Wells Chapel Church of God in Christ. He is a phenomenal member and is a distinctive gentleman of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. That is absolutely wonderful. I love that. He is married to a wonderful wife. His wonderful wife is Tina Williams. And from this union, he has two sons, Jalon and Jamil Williams, who are both rising juniors at East Carolina University. Ladies and gentlemen, and I know my E. Smith family is out there, I want to present to you Officer Richie Williams. Richard, are you there?
I am here. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. What a wonderful introduction. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I did all the introducing. Is there anything that I have left out that you would like for the audience to know?
No, what you see is what you get. But I will tell you just before we start, I just want to commend you and Wanda for speaking up and speaking out about your experiences of domestic violence. From my work in law enforcement, it is a issue in the community that we are ashamed to speak up about until it's too late. And so I commend you all for your courage for speaking out and sharing your experiences, because it is something that doesn't have a respect of person, color, gender. It affects everybody in the community. So just want to take this time to commend you all for speaking up and speaking out about the experiences of domestic violence, just to bring awareness to it, and hopefully we can curb that issue in our community. So I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. And we definitely want to celebrate you and pay so much honor to you for serving the community. I am so proud of you. I have seen you in articles, newspaper articles, and I thought I might have seen something on TV, but I know I definitely saw something in the newspaper where you were featured around the organization or program that you were doing. Can you tell me a little about that?
Sure. So the Cops and Barbers program, is a community outreach program where we try to utilize the barbershops in the African American communities to reach out into those communities to address issues that we have. And with that, they're not always criminal issues. A lot of them are quality of life issues, whether it's lighting, whether it's abandoned houses and stuff. But we get to go in there and we talk about real issues that you talk about in the barbershop. And so with that, we're able to bridge the gap as far as understanding some of the issues in our community, and then we go in and we try to address it. And the great thing about it is that we invite all officers from the department of all different races so that they can understand how we feel, why we feel the way that we do about policing, and then hopefully the community also see the police as human beings and not just the uniform and the badge, so that if you happen to interact out in the community, it changes the dynamics of the conversation from being hostile to like, oh, you know what, I see you at the barbershop all the time. And hopefully it changes that dialogue so now you don't have these things that we see nationally, unarmed, African-American young men getting shot and stuff like that. So it's been a great program. It actually started out in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're the second in the nation to do it. And it's just been a blessing because we've actually seen how it's changed the climax as far as between the police and the black community.
Wow, that is very impactful in the community. And what you are known for is also as being a caring officer who will advocate for the less fortunate. Can you tell me about that? I know you had very humble beginnings. I know that you graduated in 1991, right, from E. Smith, and you always have been a phenomenal, charismatic young man, and so I think that's just part of you. I mean, I think that you present yourself as a very caring person, and I can actually see you being a caring officer and advocating for others, and so that I think that natural talent comes out when you are relating with the less fortunate and kids, right?
Yes, ma'am. And just for the record, I did graduate with the best class in 1991 from East High School. That 10-0 football team that went undefeated in the conference, that's the class that I'm a part of. So, but our year is the one in 1990. But but when you speak about the less fortunate, for me, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. When I graduated from high school, really didn't have a direction as far as what I wanted to do. I grew up in a single-parent home. It was just me and my brother. He was like my idol. He was like my role model. We were a year and a half apart. And so I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so when he went off to college, I did odds and in and out jobs as far as trying to figure out what I wanted to do. He went on to North Carolina Central, play ball, got a chance to, to have a stint, with the NFL and stuff like that. And so our passion was always going to be that, once he got to where he was going to be, I was going to stay back and try to help mom, take care of my little sister, and then I would follow my dreams. And so we've always had that passion. So he's what I looked up to. And so even getting into law enforcement, it was him that drove me to get there because here I am. I'm a 25-year-old African-American male, didn't have no type of medical insurance, and had him bleeding the ulcer, didn't know what I wanted to do. I remember calling him on the phone. I'm up here in Greenville, with Junior Smith. I moved up here with him. I can remember sitting on the phone, crying, like saying, hey, what do I want to do? And he took the phone and said, hey, he said, get your stuff, go back home. He said, I researched, I heard that you can go, to this jailer school. You can take an 8-week course to become a jailer, a detention officer at the jail, and get the job. I packed my stuff up. A month later, went back to Fayetteville, applied for the school, finished first, and started working at the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department as a jailer. And And I did that for 3.5 years, and I enjoyed it, and that was my passion for helping people. Well, there was an older gentleman there that kept saying, hey, you need to be out on the streets. You need to do something more for the community, which I then went to BLET and then became a police officer. My passion comes from when I left the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department. I was here with Greenville for 2 years, and I received a letter from an inmate at the Cumberland County Jail. So I'm like, who in the world know that I'm here in Greenville? There was a young man there that had committed 3 homicides out in Springway. He was like 17 when he did it, and he was getting ready to get his sentencing. And he sent me a letter to Greenville, and he says, hey, Officer Williams, I hope this is the right officer I found. He said, this is, such and such. I'm getting ready to get my sentencing in my time, so I'm going to be going off to prison. He says, but I just want to thank you because I remember when you used to walk through the catwalks early in the morning, and you would talk to me about the Lord, and you would have conversations about me, and you saw me as a person. He said, I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate that encouragement because since you've left, no one else has done it. And it blew me away because I realized that you never know the impact that you have on someone's life just by doing the simple thing of just, caring. And so it just shaped me as far as saying, hey, you can do this job in a way that's going to be rewarding, where people are going to respect you, and you still can do it. And so my passion is the community as far as just trying to help less fortunate because I can identify with those kids. I can identify with the less fortunate and stuff. And so I was fortunate because I had other people in my life, to motivate me, my brother, all of my friends, Junior, DJ, Josh, just so many of them that was doing great things. So, hey, you got to do right. And so it just helped me. And to my mom, she didn't play either. So, but community is my passion. And what I'm doing now with Cops and Barbers, it's phenomenal because it's really changing the concept of policing. And it's actually helping the police department understand how we can better do this thing that we call policing. It's not just about keeping indoors and trying to restore out the issue that's in the community. It opens their eyes to say, oh, I understand that now. So.
That's all right. That is all right. So I noticed that recently in the last, 2 or 3 years, did you graduate from Mount Olive?
I did. But again, here I am. At the time I graduated, I was 44 years old. But looking at my brother, looking at all the friends that around me that went on to school, I knew that's something I wanted to do. My little sister had graduated from college. My brother had graduated from college. And I was that child. I was like, I really want my mom to see all her kids go across that stage, of higher education. And so I called my brother. He said, man, whatever you need to do, I'm going to support you. Go for it. And as a working adult, at the time, my wife, she was going through battle with cancer and stuff like that. I took online classes. It was a site where I could go and one day out the week. And so it took me three years to get my bachelor, but I did go back and get it. And it has opened up so many other doors for me to be able to do. I just recently, joined, like I said, the Grace Fraternity there. So make Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So it's just been a blessing to understand that was a dream of mine. I didn't want to give up on it, and then so I just wanted to make the people around me proud, and so that was my motivation.
Yes, and so I think it was probably phenomenal for your boys to see you graduating. That's just, I think it is very, very important to be a good role model for our young black men. I work in a school setting, and so I think it's very important to have good black role models for our children. And so I applaud you for being a wonderful, wonderful dad to two young men that appear to be doing well, and you and your wife definitely should be applauded for that. And I do remember when your wife was going through some health issues, and I remember praying for her. And so what I can say is I feel like you are a man of God, and you, your family, the God is the key to leading your family, and I think you realize that, So as far as your daily rituals and things of that nature, how do you start your day?
Well, the first thing you do, you got to get things when you open your eyes. So for me, and even before I go to bed, I can wake up in the middle of the night and understand that, hey, sometimes that's the Lord waking you up, saying, "Hey, let's have a conversation." So I definitely do that. I have a daily bread book that I read, daily. I read the scriptures, then try to read the passage that's going for the day. And then, of course, I'm a gospel type listener, so whenever I have time, but basically during the day, I'm just surrounded by the goodness of God. I look at, things from a blessing perspective as far as, look at what I do for a living. You have people that are going through some things. You have people that, I have the ability to take a person's freedom away. And so, and you can't take that lightly. And so for me, I understand that, hey, some of the things that I see going on in the community, I reflect upon, my life, where I've been and where I'm at now. So I have a thankful mentality just throughout, just for everything, the good, the bad, because even during the bad, that's something to be thankful for. And real quickly, since we're talking about uplifting and inspiring, just a little testimony real quick. February 8th of this year, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 incurable cancer by, when she was at Cape Fear Valley. And my brother was like, hey, we're not going to accept that. And they told us that, hey, surgery was not an option. And they would get back with us and let us know, my mom's, status and prognosis. Well, almost 2 months to that day, not only did my mom go to Chapel Hill and have surgery, but we went back yesterday and she's cancer free. And so,
Hey.
So just to share as far as the mentality of being thankful, never give up, and always realize that, hey, the Lord has the final say. And so I go through life being thankful for the small things in life, like waking up, friends, fellowship, being in my right mind. And so it's easy for me because I know where the Lord has brought me from. And so I just have that thankful mentality, which is why I'm so passionate about helping the community and stuff like that.
Wow. Okay. So you feel like your brother kind of encouraged you to get into your current career and everything, and that was a blessing. And now, do you think it's important to have an accountability partner or a mentor?
Well, it's very important, especially in our community, because when you start taking the male out of the home, that is the start of the breakdown of the home, which is down the breakdown of your community. Because if our kids don't have someone to look up to, then what are they going to do? They're going to go off of what they see, whether it's TV, whether it's rap or stuff like that, or whether it's, they are drawn to games because they have that family mentality. And so it's very important. I know for me, my brother took a lot of whoopings from me because I was that man's child. But even when I got off track, though, I always knew that I wanted to make him proud. I know I wanted to make my mom proud. And so, the people around you help motivate you. And so you have friends that's going off to school and say, hey, you need to do something better with your life. It helped me stay on track. And so it's very important to have that role model, to have, somebody that can push you and stand in the gap for you if you don't have that father figure. Especially in our community, especially our young men, that they need to see something positive, because they don't. If the only thing they're saying is negative in their community, and they see that negative is being positive, then that's what they're going to be drawn to. Which is most of the time it lands you into the criminal justice system, which you don't want to get into. It's so hard to get out of.
Yes. And so, do you deal any with the juveniles as far as teenagers that are involved with court, or you're primarily dealing with adults?
Well, no, I did it all because, when I did homicide, there's no respect to person, it was kids to adults. But I was also a school resource officer for 3 years, and so I dealt with juveniles, which is, another reason why I tried to get out of the major crimes and get into the schools and get into the community, because what I was realizing is that, I'm looking at a 16-year-old sitting across the desk from me when I was in major crimes, realizing that, they had just committed a major crime, whether it was a shooting or a homicide, and listening to kids sit there and say, Officer Williams, I wish I'd have met you sooner. You're like a father figure, or you listen to me. After so many years, you just realize there's got to be something better than this. Because at 16 years old, you're still going to go away for a significant amount of time. And so I realized that, hey, in order to change the community, try to get them before they got into the system. So I work with juveniles mainly, which was, my driving force, which is still my driving force now. So I was trying to help those before they get into the system.
Yes, yes, and that is important because currently I work at an alternative school, and so some of the kids there are involved with juvenile court, and just talking with them sometimes it's just like they have never ever had anyone to say, "I believe in you," hold them to a certain expectation. It's just the look in their eyes when you tell them, "Look, I'm not giving up on you. I need you to push." It's just like, this is the first time I've ever, someone has ever spoken life into me. So for people out there that work with young people, or if you have teenagers yourself, it's important to speak life into your children and create certain expectations in the home and in the community, that, you have to be respectful. You have to set goals, and you have to give them a picture of, there is life beyond right now. Because a lot of times they think temporary, they think of the, quick things and quick ways of making money and the gang activity and things of that nature. Like some of them have never been on a college campus. And so that is something that I would love to do as far as getting kids on the college campus and seeing what that is like. I think exposure is very, very important for our young men, and so that's very important. So with your sons, they are at East Carolina, and what are their majors?
One of my sons is going for, he just switched it over to criminal justice, and the other one is going for communication. Actually, it's called multiple disciplinaries, where he's looking at law enforcement and more so of the technical side of the military. And their goal is to go through into the Marines once they graduate as officers, once they graduate college.
Okay. And so if there is a male right now that is feeling, say as a teenager, or what do you think about those males that have become involved with the criminal justice system and may have done some time? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is not to give up. Life comes full circle, and we all make mistakes. And my job, like right now, a lot of kids that get locked up when they get out, I've been known to try to help them get jobs, get their life on track. To any young man that goes out there and makes a mistake and get in trouble, I would just say, hey, don't ever give up. Set your goals. There's countless stories of people that have gone, off to prison, gone off to jail, and come out and have been successful. But the thing is that you have to surround yourself with good people to do that. You can't get out and go back to their environment or start hanging with the same people that got you in trouble. But don't give up, though. Find something that you are passionate about in life. It has to be more than just, you want to play basketball or be a rapper. There's so many other things that you can do out here to be successful. Example, I went to an 8-week course to become a detention officer that supplied benefits, medical, dental, retirement plan, stuff like that. So you can actually get a trade and still be successful. And to me, I always tell you, anybody that has a family, being successful is really just making your family happy. And so you don't have to have a whole lot of money in your pocket. You just have to go out here and understand that you want to do something positive with your life. And then especially if you have kids, because at the end of the day, kids don't ask to be here, and it's our responsibility as young men to show them the way. For sons and daughters, my biggest thing is that for a young man, you don't want to go off to prison and leave your daughter out here in society, to this community, because they may end up with somebody that is abusive. And as their dad, you're not there to protect them. That is your job. And as for the young man, we have to show our young men the way as far as how to be productive citizens, how to take care of your family, how to go out here and make this thing happen. You have a grind, but just grind the right way so that you can take care of your family. So, but don't ever give up. Ask for help. Seek opportunities, surround yourself with some good people, and and just try to strive to be the best that you can be.
Okay. Well, hats off to you. We're going to get ready to conclude our show, and it's a blessing to have you on, and thank you for inspiring someone on today. I know you have inspired me, and I want to thank you again for protecting and serving our community. And so are there any closing words that you would like to share, or is there any social media information, if you want to, that you would like to share if people wanted to be in contact with you?
Well, as you know, I have social media, but when you called me yesterday, I had to reactivate my Facebook page because I have one, but I'm not up there. But so you can just find me under my name, but I'll also give you my email address. It's going to be JEMELJALIN@hotmail.com. And I would just say this to everybody that's listening. Going to the career of law enforcement for our community, a lot of people don't want to do it. They say, I'm not going to be your snitch. I'm not going to lock up my family members or anything of that nature. But what I have to tell the kids is this: if you ever want to change something, you have to become a part of it. And I can't imagine having a police force in my community and everybody on the police force, nobody looks like me. And so you have to understand that, it is a honorable profession. For me, I understand that we have to change the way as far as how we do policing, but we have to get out of that mindset that, hey, I'm not going to be a part of this because of the history of the policing as far as what we know in our communities. And so for me, I'm just saying to change that, become a part of it, and be that change that you want to see in your department, and hold us accountable. When we're wrong, hold us accountable, but also understand that, hey, communication is key. Give us a chance to come in to try to make our communities better. Give us a chance to come in and try to make our relationships better. And so it's just going to be, that would be better for us as a community and as a people. So I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this platform. I commend you on your show. If you ever need it again, please call. I would love to come back and we can talk about some hot topic issues that's going on in the community and what we can do to solve them.
All right. Thank you so much, Richard. And I am so proud of you. Like I said, my Omega Sci-Fi brother, that just is an added topping on the cake. I'm proud of you in that way, too. But God bless you and Godspeed upon your family. And thank you for being on. And audience, thank you for spending time with us on Inspiring Uplift Radio with LaShonda Oates. Have a wonderful weekend and have a wonderful rest of the week. We aren't at the weekend yet. So take care.